Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, and thank you for being here. This is another Roma Press live stream. We are recording this right after Roma win against Milan 3-1 at the Stadio Olimpico. Oof, guys. Oof. It's not easy. They should give you a manual on how to handle these situations with Roma because it's never easy. Tonight again was not easy. Tonight again was a night where Roma had to do the job themselves, and they had to also pray that someone else makes a false step. Now, Juve did not make a false step. Juve won against Udinese quite easily, 2-0. Meanwhile, Lazio were able to get back into it and hold off Inter from overcoming Napoli in the standings for the Scudetto race. But Roma, that's the most important thing. Roma won, and so they get to live another day. They get to hope in this final match day against Torino, in a final match day that will see also Eusebio Di Francesco play a very, very crucial role for Roma, which sounds quite bizarre given that we are not in 2018. We are in 2025, and Eusebio Di Francesco can still have a say in whether Roma go to the Champions League or not. But I just wanted to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us, sticking with Roma Press. It's a difficult time for us. There's a lot of stuff to cover, and with John out of action until the end of the season, it's a lot, and it's a lot of also emotions. I wanted to welcome everybody, and also I will be obviously reading the comments in the chat. I just saw Mazin come in. Thank you, Mazin, for being here. We got Vincent. Hi, Vincent. We got Philip. We got Duncan. Obviously, Forza Roma from Indiana. Hopefully, our boy Eusebio can do us a proper favor next week. But even so, who would have thought that Roma would even be in this position? Yes, that's the thing. Let me just say this: that first half, playing against 10 men in your own stadium on Claudio Ranieri's final match at the Stadio Olimpico, and allowing Joao Felix to score on you again, that is shameful. That was perhaps the worst thing that you could have possibly done in a match of this importance. Roma were well on their way to ticking all the boxes on a shameful display for a very, very important match. I was afraid that the defeat against Bergamo would have been a big reality check, not for us, for the team, that the team would have just taken it, as a sign of, okay, well, maybe we should not even try. Maybe this is the way it's going to go. It always goes this way. This is Roma, so why try? Well, the answer is because you get Leandro Paredes, who all of a sudden does something like that, gives you the lead after being linked nonstop with an exit from the club, with rumors of Roma choosing not to play him because they're of this bonus that goes to PSG if he fulfills a certain number of appearances, blah blah blah, to the point where even Ranieri told the media, well, what have we done without him? We've won. That's one. And not, it hasn't been a great period for Paredes, but what a goal and what a fantastic evening for him, because we had to turn it around. I mean, there was we could not have lost this game against this Milan side after their defeat in Coppa Italia. Are done. Milan are done this season. They're not going to play in Europe next season. Their whole management is likely to get overhauled. I mean, after a season of these epic proportions in how badly and disorganized it was, I can't imagine any of the top guys, Furlani, Ibrahimovic, Moncada, continue. Milan are gonna change the entire structure. They're going to get a new sporting director, new coach, and everything. We could not, I mean, losing against them tonight would have been just absolutely embarrassing. adding salt to the injury, where you have a chance. That's the thing. We had a chance to still have our say in this Champions League race. Obviously, we depend on Juventus. We depend on Eusebio Di Francesco. That's never nice, but we could have shut up shop today. We could have ended it. We could have gone home today, feeling resigned and knowing that our dreams will not come to fruition. And yet, and yet, it's the 18th of May, and the season is 1 week away from being over, and we're still dreaming, guys. We're still dreaming. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Just wanted to quickly read out Germanicus. Hey, ciao, Andy. Thank you so much. Marco Golovic. Hi, guys. I told you Roma has attacking power. Let's go. Thank you, Marco, so much for being here again. Um, does Europa League or Conference League even make a difference financially, Pinaka? Well, the Europa League definitely does make a difference. Obviously, we're not talking about Champions League territory. You qualify for the Champions League, Roma would be looking at about 60 million in revenue. Europa League, Conference League, they don't get to those heights, but it's still money. It's still money, and we know the kind of situation that Roma will be facing this upcoming summer, to the point that Ranieri reiterated it again in his other press conference recently, where he said it's going to be tough. So if Ranieri says this thing twice, that it's going to be tough, it's going to be tough. Also, let's go Pacers. Yeah, you guys are you guys are lights out this season. And this is coming from a desperate Golden State Warriors fan. Marco, we threw away defending garbage Jose mentality, started playing real Roma game in second half. Salute to Ranieri. Yeah, I mean, listen, there was no way in hell you could have continued on with that first half display. Just from all points of view, that was bad. That was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was shameful. It was pathetic. It was the worst way you could have possibly opened up this match, given the importance, given the fact that you had 68,000 people in the stands. You had Ryan Friedkin in the stands. I mean, to go out like that and allow Joao Felix to score on you is bad. Thankfully, we turned it around. This time, Ranieri got the substitutions right. I thought Salmakers in the lineup made sense. Then you got Gurna Duath, you got Wrench coming off the bench, and not at the 90th minute, at the 70th. That's, you can get on with the time. So good on Ranieri. Ibrahimovic ain't talking much these days. Yeah, no, Lawrence, he certainly isn't. I don't know how, if you're Ibrahimovic, how you ever recover from this, because he was very, very much so the face of the franchise, and he was very proud of it. He was very proud of his duties at Milan. He was always there, talking big, talking about how they're so ambitious and they're going to win this trophy and that trophy, and he's a lion and blah blah blah. And he's, as you say, he's nowhere to be found right now. Milan is toast, but they do have some really good players. Yes, but they got some really good players who want to go elsewhere and who want to have their future resolved from this situation. I think Milan really are going through a process where they're going to try and reset after all these years with Stefano Pioli. I don't think the reset was hard enough with Paulo Fonseca. It was always it was very half-assed attempt. It was almost something that Roma would have done this season by Milan, definitely. Hi, Andy. Thank you for doing these live streams. Christopher, what a finish this will be to the season. Yeah, Christopher, thank you so much for those words. Thank you for being here. Absolutely. It's going to be quite something, guys. Got broken up with yesterday, desperately needed Roma to win today, and they delivered. Normally, it's Roma who breaks my heart, but today they helped me cope. Forza Roma sempre. Tyler, stay strong, buddy. I'm glad that Roma came through for you, because usually, in my experience, when my day is going bad, Roma are not adding a reason for me to smile. That's so. So I'm glad at least you have this thing to look forward to the fact that we can actually look ahead to May 25th, which is the date that Serie A ends, which is when Roma play against Torino. And actually go into that game kind of, not knowing. And I mean, it's going to be, it's almost as scary as um as when we had to play Totti's last game against Genoa, and we had so much at stake. Genoa had nothing. It was Totti's retirement game. Roma aspired to go to the Champions League. We all remember what happened. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I do remember that fear that fear that creeped in right before kickoff and then stayed and lingered until Perotti's goal. Yeah. Um, Man, it would be awesome if we had that kind of spectacle against Torino. But given that we're not playing our last game of the season at the Olimpico, I do feel like there is going to be an element that is going to be anticlimactic about this whole thing. Today would have been awesome, with Ranieri retiring at the Olimpico. It would have been fantastic, something for the history books. This was still good. This was still good. I'm glad that he got his farewell. This is a manager that, again, I think for what he's done, for the risks that he had to take this season coming in such a difficult situation, and what he was able to achieve with the same group of players that was unable to completely do anything remotely similar to what they've done under him in the first half of the season. He deserves a statue. No joke. He really does. Hit the like button. Yes, thank you so much, guys. Hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Because this is, I mean, with the podcast not being released in John's absence, this is where you get the live streams. And if you like what we do at Roma Press and what I do right now as I try to man the ship myself, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Roma Press. The links are all in the description box. There's some discounts, so please consider becoming a patron. Thank you so much. How is Serie A so competitive this season? Marco, it's always, I guess that's a good question. I always ask myself, is it competitive or are teams just not really that good? Um, because this Scudetto race, I'm not sure it's that good. I'm not sure that both Napoli and Inter really have it figured out. Juve, Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina don't really have it figured out for the Champions League either. Atalanta also have been seeing plenty of ups and downs. I do think Atalanta have thrived because the other teams below them have had so many problems. I mean, look at what happened to Milan. Look at what happened to Roma. Look at what happened to Juve. I mean, those are three teams that changed coaches like nothing, like they changed shirts. So that definitely benefited a team like Atalanta that is much more organized. Everything is stable. Bologna were a very nice surprise this season. Bologna are definitely one of the highlights of Serie A right now, so big on them. And I guess that's one of the teams that I would say is competitive and that represents the best, I think, about Serie A this season. If someone were to ask me what team should I follow, what would the evolution of, I would say Bologna. I would not point them to either Roma or Juve or Milan. No, you don't want to do that. Best point we got since 1920 season. Nice also to see Curva salute Pellegrini as well. Yeah, Duncan, the Curva and the fans at the Olimpico today really. I was not expecting that much support for Pellegrini. Pellegrini, as we know, is out for the season. He underwent surgery and he's likely to remain out of action for the surgeon that operated on him said about 4 months. That's a long time. That's a long time. There is a lot of questions that need to be addressed. There is the question of whether he's going to renew his contract with Roma, which expires next season. There is the question of whether the interest from the likes of Napoli and Inter is real or not. Is it just something that his agent is trying to get talked about in the media? Those are things that will have to be addressed at some point in the season. He will not be able to take part in preseason. He will skip that. So we don't really know where Lorenzo Pellegrini stands and where Roma stand with Lorenzo Pellegrini. That's the thing. So we are looking at a player that is potentially on his way out, is injured, has been linked profusely with other teams, and is in a difficult situation because he's coming off one of the worst seasons in his career at the worst possible time when he has to make a decision about his career. So it was very surprising to see a lot of banners for him, given also, the fact that it's never easy to be a Roma captain, and Pellegrini has received plenty of criticism over the years. So on a night like this, with Ranieri set to say farewell to the Olimpico, for the Olimpico to actually come forward and reach out and defend. I use the word defend in the article that we published on Roma Press, but because it really is in a moment where everybody's out there to get Pellegrini, the Olimpico came through and defended him. So that was very surprising. You're the man, Andy. Looks like you've been broadcasting from a bunker. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm broadcasting from rural Spain, rural Galicia. So it's more or less you're close. Seeing Paredes kiss the badge made something did something to me, especially after that Ranieri send off chills. It's true. I don't know. It's so confusing. When you see actually the players on the pitch, when you read stories about them with Paredes. Even today, there was an article that came out in Argentina from an Argentine newspaper that said that Boca Juniors want Paredes for the Club World Cup. Now, it seemed even the player himself has admitted several times that even with Juric on the bench, he was begging Boca to make an offer for him. He goes from that to this tonight. And, as you say, it did something. Yeah, it does something. When you see Paredes score a goal like that, I even remember last year when he came through for Roma against Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, he was one of the best players on a night where Roma were trying everything to stay there, to try and keep their hopes alive. Paredes was the difference maker. Paredes almost tore his shirt wide open, and yeah, it did something. So tonight it's the same thing. A lot of questions for Paredes, a lot of questions for Pellegrini, probably a lot of questions for Ranieri, who is going to end his coaching career in Turin. Okay, against Torino, fine. But at least we got this. At least we got a chance. At least we got a chance to see this powerful stadium, because remember last time that Ranieri was here at the Olimpico, when it seemed like that was going to be his last match at the Olimpico as a Roma coach. That was, I believe, Roma Parma, with Daniele De Rossi walking away. Perotti scores. I think we win 2-1. A good night, but this one was better. Hi, Andy. Really enjoying the live stream. Just picked up a puppy, and he will be a Romanista. Thank you so much. That's great, Nikita. Do you think Eusebio Di Francesco will pull a miracle next weekend? That's the question, Nikita. That's the question. If Eusebio does pull the miracle, you gotta name the dog Eusebio. I'm sorry. Those are the rules. Hard to see an injured Pellegrini being bought by anyone. True. Absolutely true. But also, it's hard to see Roma renew Pellegrini's contract at this difficult moment in time in his career. I just don't. As we know, he's one of the top earners at the club, and there's no way that Roma can continue paying him what they're paying him now for him to keep delivering the kind of performances that he's been delivering for the last 2 years, I would say. So those are considerations that will need to be made, but not tonight. Tonight, thankfully, we can avoid that. What was the banner for Pellegrini? Oh, there was several. There was one in Curva Tevere. There was one in Curva Sud. The banner, it's on the website. The banner basically said, "We're there for you. We're in your corner. Forza Lorenzo." The classic stuff. Clear messages of just support in a difficult moment. And again, I'm just very surprised because I struggle to remember someone even like Florenzi, getting this kind of treatment. And we know that Pellegrini has been on the receiving end of a lot of mockery and criticism from fans. But tonight, I think with this latest injury, given how serious it is, nobody expected this injury to be so serious. There were some predictions made of him being out 2 months, but now he's going to skip all of preseason. And the best prediction right now is that he may be back at the beginning of next season. So that's a long time for Pellegrini, in a moment where really, again, sort of him, Cristante, both of them looked like they were on their way out. Both of them seemed like they were ready to consider their future options. Both their agents were at work to find solutions. Both of them were very close to leaving Roma in January. Pellegrini was close to Napoli, and Cristante was close to Fiorentina. Now, going into the summer, there was talk of Inter, there was talk of Napoli looking at Pellegrini. There was even talk of Milan now potentially selling Reinders to Manchester City, and Pellegrini being his natural replacement. I have doubts about that. Not this Pellegrini. That's the thing. What about this Cristante? This Cristante right now, guys, has possibly played his last match at the Olimpico. How do we feel about that? For Cristante, a man who is notoriously hated by our patrons, by the people in this live stream, in this chat, uh, the man, the myth, the legend, came through for Roma, scored the goal for the 3-1 lead. And who knows, maybe this was his last appearance at the Olimpico. That's and this is a man who, if you look at the total number of appearances that Cristante has made for this club, I mean, Cristante is in the history books, folks. Cristante is don't forget to hit the like. Yeah, don't forget, click the like. Pele, yeah, Pele has been played out of position for 3 years, so I won't judge him. Oh my goodness. That's Marco. That's a hot take, because a lot of people will say that what's his position? What is his ideal position? Where does he play? Where do you play Pellegrini for him to be effective? Because he's played uh, everywhere. He's been in good on some parts, bad in some others. But it's true that for the last 2 years, I would say he hasn't been able to develop a decent run of results. I think the only moment in the last 2 years where he felt like a special player was when Daniele De Rossi came in. He had that wonderful run where he scored a bunch of goals, and that was encouraging to see, but it did not last long. Lawrence, if Pellegrini agreed to a big salary cut for, say, 3 years, he's worth keeping. That's tough. And that's not something that either him or his agent would want to do, I guess. For a player like him who earns about 4.5 million, what pay cut are we talking about? What kind of money was he thinking of getting this summer? That's the other thing. Ciao, Andy. I felt the same nervousness we had in Bergamo at the end of the first half. Luckily, we turned it around with Paredes' strike under high pressure. We tend to underperform, but not today. Not today. Not today. And when was the last time we scored so many goals? As Marco said, we unlocked our offensive capabilities. And it's always good, to let off some steam, to not get in your head. Juve were going to win against Udinese. It was, it was very predictable. But you can't let that affect you. You can't let that dictate the way you play against the Milan side that, once again, were completely deflated following the loss to Bologna in Coppa Italia, with Sergio Coensao, who is I don't even. I mean, I don't. I guess Sergio Conceicão's arrival, in terms of just how non-impactful it was, it's something very close to Ivan Juric at Roma and Mazzari last year for Napoli. Only the fact that he got a Super Cup, I think, in his first appearance as a manager for Milan, when Milan got that reaction, that's when he won that trophy, but that's about it. That was the only highlight for Sergio Coensao. In the Premier League, the FA Cup winner gets an automatic place in Champions League. Do you think the Coppa Italia winner should also get an automatic bid? Bologna, I mean, I would like to. I think Bologna with Italiano are a very exciting team. Now the question is, will he stay? uh, Italiano, because I'm pretty sure that he's going to get some major offers this summer. There's even talk of Milan. There's talk of Napoli with Conte potentially leaving. I don't know. I think it would be a shame because as much as I dislike Italiano, I don't look back on his spell with Fiorentina and think of him fondly as a good coach. I do think that he got embarrassed multiple times, and those Conference League finals will haunt him, but have taught him a lot. So this is a coach that I think needs to stay in Bologna and give consistency to those results, because he could become the new Gasperini for Bologna. Do you think that Cristante will stay if Gasperini turns out to be the next coach? No, I don't think those are consideration. I mean, I think that right now Cristante is just going to get his bag, um, and that's not going to happen at Roma. Pellegrini and Cristante have to go. I don't hate them. I'm saving them from bullying. Basta. All these years, nothing. Just go. That's yeah. I mean, to I understand the sentiment, as in we talk a lot about them. We talk too much about them. It does take away from a lot of the team. That the fact that you got those guys always prevents you from addressing several issues in the transfer window, because you're always there thinking, well, I got Pellegrini, I got Cristante if I need it. And that's not how it works in the long term. You need other solutions. If Bova is eligible to play in Serie A, will he play for Roma? I don't know, guys. This is it's too that's too far fetched. That would depend on the new coach, but I don't know. It's difficult to imagine right now. I think there's the procedures for Bova to get back on the pitch will be very, very long and complicated. It's a shame. This or any other Cristante can go to Fenerbahce to play with his beloved Jose Marco. Marco, obviously, taking no prisoners. I mean, yeah, sure. I do agree with you. Cristante would ball out in Turkey. Cristante with Jose would absolutely get Fenerbahce that title that they just lost to Galatasaray. All these teams freshen up players every 2-3 years. We have to suffer with players pre-COVID. Come on, there's so many times where we get the comments of, well, where are the players that end up staying at the club? Where are the players that love the club? I mean, Pellegrini loves the club. I do believe also Cristante was a timid, shy guy that we always made fun of with John because he's Canadian. um he also loves the club. So I once we have them, but it's true. I do understand that we have to exactly sort of restructure, rebrand ourselves. uh Cristante and Pellegrini, I think both, and that's what I said in January, they're both past their due date at Roma. They just, I mean, it's just, you can't you can't keep them any longer, because they're just going to keep on chomping on your squad. They're going to keep chomping on your expenses, on your budget, and they're going to be preventing you from addressing those long-term issues that need to be resolved in the midfield, which we've had and we continue to have, even though we've definitely addressed a lot of them by bringing in someone like Manu Kone. We used the out of position excuse for Florenzi. True. I have no energy to entertain that again. Yeah, absolutely. With Florenzi, it was the fact that he was a jolly. With Pellegrini, it's a fact that he's just inconsistent and too difficult to make sense out of. It's not easy to understand Pellegrini, the player. He's sort of, he has these moments of brilliance where he's a magician, and then there are other times where he's just the most anonymous looking player in the midfield, and costs you a lot of points, costs you, um, also in terms of effort. You sometimes see him phase out of the match, and I guess, I don't know, maybe in the long term the captain's armband is a curse. um, but that's why it's important to sort of try and meet him halfway and confront him about his plans for the future. um, Any news on the Klopp rumors? No, Mazin, please. The Klopp rumors have no basis. No, no. We're talking about a man who makes. I mean, I don't. Listen, I may be saying one thing and then Friedkin decides to splurge. No, but no, let's not. Let's not. I prefer to think about more realistic names. Okay, I already said it like 1,000 times. Pellegrini is a defensive playmaker, no doubt, and yet he loves to shoot the ball. Marco, he loves that. He loves to score. In Venezia, we trust, says Roman, absolutely Roman. We have to believe in Eusebio. We have to believe that he holds no ill will following Frosinone's elimination from Serie A at the hands of Roma, who lost against Empoli last season. And by doing so, they inflicted a painful relegation to Frosinone with Di Francesco being relegated on the last match day of the season. That was horrendous. I felt so bad for him. I hope he holds no ill will against us. With all due respect, I couldn't care less how players love the club. Us fans will do that, play football that you're being paid for, and play with your heart. That's it. Everything else is temporary, secondary. Sure, Dachi, I agree. Marco, for the record, I really appreciate the work you do. You need to have nerves of steel to to allow a comment, to follow and comment on Roma every few days. So thanks. Not even every few days, Marco. Every day, every hour, nonstop, 24/7. Yeah, that's the reality. Lawrence, but thank you for Marco. I appreciate it. Lawrence, we need a super fast striker, in my opinion. We need a lot, guys. It's not. I mean, there's a lot. I do think that you can still work with Dovbyk. I've said it a number of times. Dovbyk, in my opinion, is good. Dovbyk is a valid striker. You need more solutions. That's what Roma need. The Roma need more solutions. There's a reason why you were unable to get out of the slump at the beginning of the season. There is a reason why you had to choose to play a certain way with Ranieri, and you could not do anything beyond that because we need more. The truth is we need more. The challenge will be to do it with the restrictive measures that are implied by financial fair play. We will have to look for answers. We will have to resolve these issues that we continue to have in the off season. We will have to address so many situations, even in the defense. Just the fact that, you know, Hummels is retiring, Mario Hermoso is a player you no longer want. Zeki Salik is apparently in talks with Besiktas. Then in the midfield, as you say, Cristante, Pellegrini. What happens with El Sharawi? What happens with the Salmakers? So many questions, but not yet, guys. Still, this is not the time to do it. Um, what the time is for now is to focus on Torino. Roma have Torino coming up. Roma have Torino coming up away from home, May 25th. That will be the end of the season. And I was thinking about this upcoming final match day of the season, and I thought long and hard about this. I also am traveling on that day, so I wanted to just announce it that on that day I will not be doing a live stream after the match. I will be doing a live stream on the day after the match. So on the 26th on May, we will get together and we will do a big long live stream where we will get deep into Roma's season and we will do a proper review. We will first of all reflect on where Roma will be, whether they will qualify for the Champions League or not, and we will get deep into the worst defeats of the season, the biggest wins, the best moments, the most surprising moments, and obviously the best performance. I want to do that kind of thing, something that we used to do with John a long while ago, and I thought it would be nice to do it together for a big sort of, you know, a proper summary of the season, because I think this season had so many storylines, so much drama, so many surprises, so many painful moments, and also happy moments if you think about today, that there is no other way to tackle it. To tackle it right after the match against Torino, where we will all be feeling horrible or great and have our hearts racing, it would do a disservice. It would not be enough. So this is my invitation to everybody for the May 26th, after Roma Torino, or rather Torino Roma, to get together and do a proper deep dive into the season that is coming to an end. In the meantime, guys, I just wanted to once again thank you all for your support. Thank you for joining me on this live stream, and thank you for always sticking with us at Roma Press. I appreciate all the support as always. It really amazes me, and we appreciate it every day. So thank you so much. And as always, Forza Roma. Until next time, guys. Ciao.